was supposed to be different. The hope, the change, the revolution dressed in a tailored suit. Young, untouched by the system and full of promise, Bassirou Diomaye Faye stepped into power as if he was carrying the collective dreams of a continent on his shoulders. But now, the same man who once stirred hope is making quiet visits to Paris, smiling for cameras in Cotonou and shaking hands in Abidjan. And the youth who danced in the streets to celebrate his victory now watch in silence, eyes wide with confusion, hearts heavy with betrayal. What happened to the man we believed in? Did he fall? Or was he never really standing in the first place? Let's rewind to the moment when everything felt possible. March 2024. Senegal wasn't burning with fire, but with dreams. Ousmane Sonko, the bold Pan-Africanist voice, had been legally cornered and silenced by a system many believed to be backed by French interests. But before he was pushed out, he passed the torch to someone else. A quiet man, calm and measured, who promised to carry forward the fight for sovereignty. That man was Bassirou Diomaye Faye. And we believed him. We believed he would finish what Sonko had started, that he would confront the remnants of colonial control, that he would slam the door shut on France's political influence in Senegal. We thought he would cut the cord, but instead, he seems to have plugged right back in. It started with the diplomatic trips. First Paris, then Abidjan, then Cotonou. And not just as formal gestures, but as intentional engagements with the strongholds of French neo-colonialism in Africa. He met with Alassane Ouattara in Côte d'Ivoire and Patrice Talon in Benin, two men who are widely seen as loyal defenders of French interests on the continent. It was no longer just about policy. It was about symbolism, and the symbols were loud. Back home, the people began asking the question they never thought they'd need to ask. Did we elect a liberator or inherit a more polished puppet? Because every word Faye speaks seems carefully crafted not to offend the empire. Every handshake he offers looks like one more thread sewn into the web of foreign control. You see, this is the empire's greatest skill, rebranding oppression. They no longer send the colonizers with hats and guns. They send influencers. They send young, educated, marketable Africans who look like the people, talk like the people, but serve something else entirely. That's how they got us. They gave us a youthful face, one with a law degree and a clean digital footprint, and said, "This is the future." And we believed it, because we were desperate. Because we are too easily impressed by appearances. Because we are so hungry for change, we don't always check the ingredients. But youth, without revolutionary ideology, is just decoration. You can be 44 years old and still be 400 years deep in mental colonization. A young puppet, in many ways, is more dangerous than an old tyrant, because he speaks the language of the people, but moves in silence on behalf of those who never cared about us. And while Faye poses for cameras and boards flights for foreign meetings, something very different is happening in the heart of the Sahel. In Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has chosen a completely different path. No fanfare, no staged photo ops, no desperate pursuit of validation from the old colonial capitals. He said no. No to invitations dressed as diplomacy. No to performative unity. No to asking for a seat at a rotting table. Traoré stays grounded, literally, in the dust of Ouagadougou, with his people, his army, and his soil. He has rejected the comfort of the red carpet for the discomfort of real struggle. That is youth leadership in its truest form. Not about age, but about courage. Not about visibility, but about vision. Not about being loved by the West, but about being remembered by the people for standing firm. To every young African demanding youth inclusion in politics, here's the truth. If your definition of leadership ends at age, you are not demanding liberation. You are just asking to be the next generation of servants. Africa doesn't need younger versions of the same disease. We need people who think like Traoré, grounded in the people, committed to sovereignty, and uninterested in the empty approval of former colonizers. Because in the end, the difference is clear. One leader flew around the world for handshakes and headlines, the other stayed with his people and dug his hands into the work of rebuilding. One chased the spotlight, the other chose the shadows of sacrifice. Bassirou Diomaye Faye still has time to change course. He can still return to the fire that brought him into office, to the pain and dreams of the people who believed he would be different. He still has the chance to make a real break with the system. But right now, all we see is another young man walking the halls of empire, smiling politely and forgetting what he promised. History will remember. One will be remembered for what he posed for, the other will be remembered for what he stood against. And make no mistake, Africa will rise. But it will not rise through well-dressed puppets and borrowed power. It will rise through the fists, minds, and fire of leaders who refuse to kneel. The dream of Senegal may be broken for now. But across the Sahel, the people are waking up, and this time they will not fall for the suit.